Hello everyone, today we will see an Italian game. Prince Andrey Dadian of Mingrelia is playing with the white pieces while Bitcham is playing with the black. Bitcham is defending with 2 knights while Dadian is trying to control the center. Additionally, white is protecting his king, giving the opponent a chance to capture another pawn, which he does. And that's where the problems begin for black. The rook comes to the e-file. Black decides to defend the knight with a pawn, attacking the bishop, which now must move. But Dadian moves the bishop in a completely unexpected direction, sacrificing it. Black accepts. The knight attacks the queen. The idea behind this knight's attack is that black cannot deal with his own knight because it is pinned to the king, and he cannot capture with a pawn either because he would lose the queen. Therefore, he is forced to move the queen to a safer place. That gives white the opportunity to regain the sacrificed bishop, which he does. Black defends the king with his bishop. The bishop develops to g5. It prevents castling queenside so that after developing the bishop, the knight comes to d2. The queen is once again forced to retreat. The knight on b3 threatens the bishop, so it also has to retreat. White continues applying pressure with the knight to d5. The black bishop can't do anything. But pawn can. He tries to drive away the white bishop, and here we are at an interesting moment of the game. What do you think white did? He ignores the pawn. He plays another brilliant move, knight c5. What is behind this move? Black cannot take the knight because it would leave the pawn undefended. The knight would give a check and capture the queen. That's why black decides to play queen to b5. The game continues. White sacrifices material. The rook takes the bishop. Black is in a dilemma, whether to capture the rook or to move his king. In our game, black has opted for the second option. White decisively continues, knight d7. The king flees again, and for the first time, the queen enters the game. That gives black the opportunity to capture one of the pieces, but they choose not to do so and instead attack the queen. White is preparing another brilliant sacrifice. He sacrifices the knight. The only move for black is to capture the knight. White gives another check. Black has no choice but to capture the queen, leading us to a fatal move. The fatal move here is knight f6, checkmate. Deserved victory for white, but let's return to the interesting moments of the game. The first interesting moment was the rook attack. We saw the king's move, but what would have happened if the pawn had taken the rook? The queen would probably move to h5. The king would move to f8, and the knight would capture the pawn. The king moves away once more. The other knight attacks. The pawn captures, and the queen on g6 is a checkmate. This is how the game would end this way, but if we return to the original game after the rook takes, we saw the king to f8, knight to d7, king to g8, and after queen to g4, pawn to h5 was played. But what would happen if black had taken a piece, perhaps the rook? That would enable an attack with the queen. The king would move away. The knight would attack. The king would flee as much as possible, but after a few forced moves, white would simply checkmate with the queen. Thank you for watching. Like this video and hit subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.